Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Twilight Zone review. Today it is Season 5, Episode 5, The Last Night of a Jockey, written by Rod Serling and starring Mickey Rooney as Grady. And in my opinion, this is a very bad Twilight Zone episode, one of the very worst, and I have a couple reasons for that. The first reason is that the main character is completely unrelatable, unlikable, and over the top. And the second reason is the plot has about 10 minutes of material, in my opinion, and they stretch it out over 25 minutes. Two things that never help out a Twilight Zone episode. So I'll go through the episode and talk about it from there. So we have this jockey, he's a horse jockey named Grady, and we see on some newspapers that apparently he's been suspended for horse doping, I believe it is, and the episode starts with him yelling. This guy likes to yell a lot, he'll do it throughout the episode. He's yelling at some reporter about how he had nothing to do with this, he doesn't know about it, etc. And then he just starts talking to himself. He's looking in the mirror, he calls himself small, he uses a lot of different versions of the word. So this guy's basically down and not too high on himself right now. So that's our setup, and then after a pretty uninspired opening narration by Rod Serling, we get Grady, and he starts literally hearing a voice of himself. It's pretty easy to tell it's him. And the voice is inside his head. It's his alter ego, we find out, which is one of the few things that makes sense here. And then he starts literally smacking his head. Who does this? Like, he does it pretty hard, too. It's not like a tap. He starts hitting himself. This guy obviously has some mental issues. It's way overdone. It's just an example of how everything with the character is way overdone, because I don't think he's written that well, so they exaggerate everything. Just my opinion. So then he starts talking back to this voice, and he literally sees his face in the mirror. It's a picture of him. I've seen this done better in other Twilight Zone episodes. In my opinion, it doesn't really work that well. And he's telling him all these bad things he did, including the horse doping, and then he says he didn't do this, and he's basically arguing with himself, and then he smashes the mirror. But that doesn't get rid of the voice. The voice keeps coming back. He keeps hearing himself and talking to himself, and yeah, this just goes on and on and on. That's what this whole episode is. It's him in this room doing this. It just doesn't work for 25 minutes. It might have worked if they would have built the character up, but it really just goes around and he just keeps doing the same thing. He doesn't really progress as a character at all, which is unfortunate. So then after all this, he gets the conclusion that he wants to be big, and he'll literally get his wish. And we get it. I mean, we get the point here. It's a pretty obvious message that size doesn't measure your accomplishments. So he's resting or sleeping or whatever, and when he gets up, it takes him a long time to figure this out for some reason, but he actually is taller. He's literally taller. The effect of this is okay. It's done fine. The episode has bigger problems. I'll just leave it at that. It's okay. The voice is still talking to him because that's all that happens here. And he starts jumping up and down and laughing. This guy's mood swings are exaggerated and all over the place again. He calls some girl. Why this has anything to do with anything in the episode, I have no idea. They just put this in to fill time. And she kind of just shrugs him off or whatever, and he starts yelling at her. He starts screaming, and he wonders why this girl isn't interested in him. That's hard to imagine. So the voice is talking to him yet again. Then there is a significant scene where he's called and told that a lawyer will be in contact with him soon. But you would think he would know what this would be about, but I guess he's too fixated on being bigger that he doesn't realize it. And then basically the rest of the episode until the so-called twist end, he goes in between yelling and looking kind of calm and perplexed back and forth. It's very strange and didn't work for me. I'm not really sure. You just got to watch it, although I would recommend that you don't to understand it, but it's odd. He'll like yell, then he'll just look around like he's in the Twilight Zone, which this episode is. Very, very strange. So then we learned what his heart's desire was always just to be big, apparently. They don't say it for sure, but I'm guessing he had problems with his height, that he says he was called a freak and made fun of. But we were never told that till now. Isn't that something we needed to know at the beginning of the episode? So at least we would have had some motivation for how his character is. I thought this was out of place at this point of the episode. I really have issues with the writing here. And then he gets a call, and we could all see this coming. He gets a call that says, you've been cleared of everything. You can be a jockey again. At first, he's happy, but then he realizes he's too big. He'll never be able to do that again. But we know, as Rod Serling points out for us, that size isn't measured by this, and he's really very small. Ugh. And then he goes nuts and rambles on to end the episode, but you don't feel any sympathy for this character, at least I didn't, because we haven't gotten any reason to, basically. This episode completely fails on every level for me. It is one of the worst Twilight Zone episodes, and I give it a 1 out of 5. I don't recommend you watch this episode unless, of course, you're watching every episode and you just have to see it. Even then, I would consider skipping it and maybe pretending you watched it. That's how much I disliked it. So a 1 out of 5 for The Last Night of a Jockey, and as always, thank you very much for watching.